Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm a cinematographer, editor, and colorist here at Frostline Studios in Anchorage, Alaska. Today I'm going to be showing you how I export my Premiere project for color and sound. By the end of this process, you should have a reference file, an AAF for sound, an XML for color, a ProRes 444 alpha export of your graphics, a packaged Premiere project with all necessary footage, and the camera's color space settings. First, we're going to export your reference file. This is literally just your film with all the elements on it that I might need to reference and make sure are in the correct place when I do the color grade, or that our audio engineer might need to reference when he does his sound mix. And then we're going to hit export. Next, we're going to organize and export our timeline for sound mixing. You can either do this in your original timeline, and for a film this size, it makes sense to do it in the timeline. I'm not scared of messing anything up, but if you have a larger project and things are complicated, then I would recommend duplicating your timeline. So we're just going to do that just for best practices. We're going to duplicate the timeline. We're going to call it the name of the film and then underscore for sound. Then we're going to make sure we're in that timeline. The number one thing that you need to make sure you do is break out your dialogue tracks into their own tracks. So here you can see the mom's dialogue on one track, and I have the sister's dialogue on the other track. This is really important because we will mix each track as a whole instead of individual clips. This just makes it so streamlined. The next thing we want to make sure is that you only have dialogue on those tracks. Similarly, we're going to have all of this is nat sound, and we really want to make sure that all of that are on its own tracks as well, and that it doesn't overlap with any dialogue and it doesn't overlap with any music. We want to label every single track so that our audio engineer knows exactly what he's looking at and exactly how to handle it. So once we've done this, we're going to go File, Export, AAF, and we are going to check Mix Down Video, Enable Breakout to Mono, Render Audio Clip Effects, and Include Copies without effects. We want our sample rate to be 48,000, our bits per sample to be 24, and we want to embed audio. We want to trim audio files, which will save a lot of space, but we want to make sure that we include enough frames. So I usually do 500 frames, which should be more than enough. And then we hit OK. Next thing that we're going to do is organize and export our timeline for color grading. We're going to duplicate our timeline. The first thing that we're going to do is import our reference that we made earlier, and we are going to replace all of the sound with the audio from the reference. This is immensely helpful for me as the colorist because it just brings in one audio clip instead of everything on the timeline. The next thing we're going to do is all of our interviews are multi-camera sequences. So really important, we're going to right-click, flatten these multi-camera sequences. Along the lines of flattening everything, we are going to find all of the text layers. We're going to get rid of them. This is our lower thirds. These are all lower thirds, more info cards, and then all up here I have my subtitles. We're going to take all of our B-roll, we're going to hold shift and bring it all down onto V1, video 1, and we're going to do the same with these up here. So again, we're going to hold shift and just bring everything straight down. It's okay to have two video layers as long as what is on the second video layer is overlaying intentionally whatever is below it. A lot of times I get films with crossfades and different masking effects, and that's also another instance in which you would leave a second video layer to handle separately in Resolve. That is my timeline for color, and I'm going to go File, Export, Final Cut Pro XML, and that exports really quickly because it's really just exporting metadata. Now we are going to export our graphics. So we're going to go back to our original timeline, and you can see here that I've got this layer here on V5 is graphics, and then I also actually have these subtitles up here which are in Spanish, and I need those. So I'm going to turn off all of the video layers that I don't want included in my graphics export. So I should mostly have a black screen here. What we are trying to do is create a transparent video layer that only has the graphics within them. That way I can overlay them over the color grade, and the timing is exactly the same. Everything works really well. So we're gonna go here, and then we're going to go more presets and type in 444. And there's this option here, Apple ProRes 444 QuickTime, but that's not the one we want. We want the Apple ProRes 444 with alpha. That's the key wording here. So select that and hit OK, and then you're gonna hit export. Now we've exported our sound timeline, we've exported our color timeline, and we've exported the graphics. We technically should have everything that we need to make your film the beauty that it is, but we don't. We don't have the footage yet. There are two ways you can go about this. You can either, option one, the whole hog, which is where you send us the entire drive with all of the footage that is included in the project, all the project files, everything. Really important to note before I continue, please make sure that if you have any specific fonts or logos that may or may not be on the drive you're sending us, please make sure that those are on the drive, because if they're not, I will very likely be reaching back out to you to find them. Please do not give us the only copy of your film with all the footage. Please make sure that you provide us with a duplicate drive so that you have, wherever you want to keep it, a backup of that, and give us the duplicate. Option number two is what I like to call a large boulder the size of a small boulder. And that is where you consolidate the project into only the essential media that we need to wrap up this project. There are two ways that you can consolidate your project within Premiere. The first is with Premiere's Project Manager, and the other is the one that I prefer. I use a plugin called Plume Pack, and it does a lot of the heavy lifting for me, and I find that it can make the project much smaller than what Premiere can. We're gonna go File, Project Manager. We're gonna select the ones that we made today, Juan Pablo for color, Juan Pablo for sound. And then we are going to collect files and copy to a new location. And we are not going to consolidate and transcode. I'm sure that consolidate and transcode has its time and place, but this is not it. When you do this, you end up re-encoding the raw footage that I'm really desperate to work with into, in this case, it says like an MXF OPA file or a QuickTime file. And yes, those file types have a lot of data within them, but they are not the original, like the raw file type. So we want to collect files and copy to a new location. And these are all the settings that I use for that. And you want to make sure that you have just the timelines that you want to send to me. And we're going to put it with the rest of everything that we've been putting, and then we're going to hit OK. The other way we can do this is with PlumePack. And PlumePack is a wonderful plugin that a client actually recommended for me, and I love it a lot. PlumePack is a paid plugin. In the free version, it basically ends up doing what the Premiere Project Manager can do for us. If you're going to be exporting things all the time for a colorist, this is kind of the way to go, and it's worth it to spend the extra, I don't know, I think it's like $80. I'll put the link in the description, and I will also throw something up on the screen right now so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. If you paid for it, here's how I would use it. I use trim, and I use minimum disk space. I'm going to hit trim only audio files, add in and out to trimmed file names, and then we want to again go into our selected sequences, make sure that the sequences that we want to export are the ones that we have selected. For something this small, I think a flat data structure is just fine. And then you can also name your subfolders. It puts all of the media into a root subfolder, and then you can hit analyze and it will tell you with pretty good accuracy exactly how big it thinks that the file is going to be. And also it'll tell you all the footage that is going to be included in the folder that it creates. PlumePack is trimming the files, but it is not transcoding them. The reason I love this so much is because with Premiere, in order to trim the files and like really knock down the amount of space that it's saving, it has to re-encode the files. PlumePack manages to do it without doing that. So I'm still getting the raw files, but they're much smaller sizes because it's taking that interview that could be an hour or 2 hours long and really only giving me the amount that is included in this, 9-minute short film. I don't know how it does it, but it's really wonderful. So here you can see the original project size was almost 1.5 terabytes, and the final project size 78 gigabytes. So it's really trimming out like over 700 gigabytes that I don't need to send to myself, the colorist, which we appreciate. Now that we've done that, you can hit PlumePack and it will put it all into the folder that you have selected. The last thing that I need is your camera's color space info. Please reach out to your cinematographer and ask which color space they shot in and which camera that they shot on. This is so important and I don't even have time to explain, but please trust me, it makes my life as your colorist so much easier. Now you should have a folder or a hard drive that looks something like this. If you're delivering the whole hog, option 1, you won't have this very first folder, but you will have everything else. Please make sure that you've got the reference, you've got the audio AAF, you've got the color XML, and you've got the graphics. Everything is labeled per the film and dated for the day that you exported them. Thank you so much for watching and making it to the end of the video. I hope that you learned something. Please feel free to reach out to me, your colorist, your audio engineer, and ask them what they need specifically if it differs. Also, if you are a colorist or an audio engineer watching this video and you have a better suggestion on ways that I can improve this process to simplify, expedite, and simplify it even more, I would love to hear your suggestions. This is just what I've come up with over the last 6 or 7 years working in this position. Thanks so much for watching.